Welcome to coverage of GP Atlanta. Maria Bartholdi here, along with Marshall Sutcliffe. Round 7, Matt Severa, 7-0, Cedric Phillips, 7-0. Matt, of course, has 5 GP top 8s, 3 this year, 2 team wins. And Cedric Phillips has a Pro Tour top 8 and 3 GP top 8s. Cedric's going to start things off with a Ruinous Gremlin.
She's actually going to do a fair bit of work here. So Matt Severa's sealed pool here, Maria, is completely off the charts.
Tell me about it, Marshall.
So it's blue-white based splashing red. The highlights include Smuggler's Copter.
Okay.
Sky Sovereign Consul Flagship.
Oh, that's a fair card.
Cataclysmic Gearhulk.
Tell me you're done.
Torrential Gearhulk.
Okay.
Saheeli's Artistry.
What? This is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, and he's got some other good cards too. An aerial responder, a couple of revoked privileges.
Oh my
He's splashing
gosh.
for Harness, Lightning, and Welding Sparks. That's what the red is for, off of an Ether Hub, a Mountain, and a Prophetic Prism. But come on, are you serious?
There we see his Harness Lightning in action, taking down a Sky Skiff. He just drew his aerial responder as well.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's just not fair to give a player of Matt Severa's quality this level of pool. It is just insane.
Yeah.
Now, he does have his hands full here, though. Cedric is no slouch himself, and he's got a black-red deck, as you can see. Those are the only colors that he's playing here. But he's got a pretty aggressive deck lined up. You can see he's got Doomed Operatives, Lawless Brokers, Oval Chase Daredevils, the kind of cards that you expect to see with a bunch of artifacts, which he also has. As far as removal, he's got a Furious Reprisal, a Pyro Helix. That's a Chandra's Pyro Helix. He's playing a Built to Smash in the main.
Yeah, he's going to get in here
Sparks.
with a Fleet Wheel Cruiser, Salivating Gremlins as well, doing great work with all of the artifacts that you mentioned about in his deck.
Yeah, he's also got a Renegade Freighter and an Oval Chase Dragster as well. You mentioned the Fleet Wheel Cruiser that he's got right there. And then he's got a Cultivator's Caravan. So he's actually running a ton of equipment in this deck. A ton of vehicles in this deck.
His job is just to literally run over Matt Severa.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or figuratively, I suppose. Matt there playing a Propeller Pioneer, making a servo. Yeah, if Matt manages to get to 6 mana,
yeah, and it's really interesting because Matt will not know the list here, but Cedric is playing 5 vehicles.
Wow.
5? Yeah, he's playing a Sky Skiff, a Renegade Freighter, an Oval Chase Dragster. He's playing a Fleet Wheel Cruiser and a Cultivator's Caravan.
That's certainly the highest number of vehicles we've seen today.
I haven't seen 5, yeah. So this is definitely the highest, and I'm curious to see how this strategy works out against what is ultimately a bomb-laden deck for Matt Severa.
Cedric going to get in there with the Fleet Wheel Cruiser. Some gremlins are behind the wheel. I'm just wondering what bombs are in Matt Severa's hand right now. Just going to take it.
Well, the interesting part about Matt's hand as well is that he doesn't have any blue mana sources outside of that Ether Hub and
That's
only
true.
1 energy to go. Now, a couple of his bombs cost double blue, including Torrential Gearhulk and Saheeli's Artistry. So, if he's got those in his hand, they could be stuck even if he hits a land here. You see him kind of slow roll himself by looking very slowly at that card, but I am curious. He's already down to 6.
Cedric's follow-up play, a Doomed Operative. It's a 2/2, but it's got +1/+0 now because of the artifact in play, as well as Death Touch. Matt is going to crack in with Propeller Pioneer and Aerial Responder to gain a couple life.
Yeah, 4 damage in the air. He's going to gain 2 and go back to 8, so a nice swing for Matt, but he needs something big here.
There it is. Cataclysmic Gearhulk, appropriately named. Oh boy. Each player gets to choose a creature, an artifact, an enchantment, and a planeswalker, and then sacrifice the rest. Boom. What do you choose here,
Well,
Marshall?
so normally, you choose either the creature or the artifact is the Gearhulk itself because it is pretty big at 4/5. So if he uses that for the artifact, then he can choose
Oh, yeah, Cedric's going to sack the gremlin too.
the responder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so now he's going to be left with the responder and a servo, and Cedric's going to be left with an oval chase dragster plus his choice of these two creatures. He can pick the one that he wants.
It's going to keep the gremlins.
No, he sacked the gremlins with the ability on the stack to kill the Gearhulk itself.
The salivating ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go. The drooling ones.
Yeah. I want to call them drooling gremlins.
And I got to tell you, Marie, he's got a lot of artifacts in the deck. I told you about the vehicles, but he's also got Filigree Familiar. He's got an Iron League Steed. He's got a Prakata Pillar Bug, which is probably more along the lines of filler for him.
Oh, here comes the Iron League Steed.
Now there you go. Jeez, this deck is aggressive.
He's going to opt for a servo with the Fabricate trigger from Iron League Steed. It also has haste.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because it looks like he's going to use it
To crew.
to crew.
Yep, makes sense.
But that also gets him 2 triggers on the gremlin.
Yes, it does.
And he is just piling in a ton of damage, and Matt finally has to bite the bullet and double block the dragster here.
The salivating gremlins can get out of control.
Totally.
If you have enough artifacts. They have trampled.
They do. This is a huge draw step for Severa. Like, Cedric may have just ran him over.
Yep, there it is. Cedric
Woo,
Phillips takes
baby.
game 1. Wow. Incredible.
It's all business mode for Cedric
Yeah.
over there on the right.
Representing East-West Bowl in his sweater.
That's really interesting. I mean, Matt played one of his better cards. He got to play one of his Gearhulks.
Yep.
Was not enough.
Cataclysmic Gearhulk is my personal least favorite of the Gearhulks. That might be a little controversial, but sometimes it's just a 4/5 vigilance, and you want to play it, but you're like, I have nothing great to keep, and my opponent has better cards than me, honestly, to keep when I play it.
Sure.
Who's your favorite Gearhulk?
My favorite of the Gearhulks is the black one.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Noxious Gearhulk.
Yeah, I think Noxious Gearhulk is the best one. I think Verdurous Gearhulk is right there with it. I would take either of those blind and just be thrilled with it. I think the red Gearhulk is the worst of the bunch. Which one am I forgetting? We've covered red,
Blue.
green. The blue one I think is in the middle.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think it goes roughly black, green,
Yep.
and I think those are pretty interchangeable. You'll take either one.
Sure.
And be happy. And then I think blue is next, and then white, and then red. But like you said, I mean, I think if you flip those two,
Yeah.
it's pretty similar.
In any given situation.
Yeah. Also of note, they're all awesome.
Yes, they're all great. Look,
Yeah.
we're picking at hairs here.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at Thiago Saporito and Pat Cox. Pat Cox attacking with his Longfin Skywhale. 4/3, can only block creatures with flying. Meanwhile, Thiago's got some beef down on the board with an Arborback Stomper and a Thriving Rhino, as well as a Key to the City, which we saw him play earlier today.
Ah, we did. He was able to craft a nice victory using that Key to the City. I have to say, that key has looked fantastic in green.
Yes.
You know, with these big creatures getting through.
Another Arborback Stomper.
You know, really interesting to see here that Thiago's played a forest out of his hand as well. It really signals something weird because, you know, with the Key to the City, you'd think that you'd rather just tap it, get rid of the forest so that you can draw something next turn. He had 7 or 8 lands on the battlefield, but maybe Blossoming Defense in his hand to protect one of his big threats. That could be something that he was signaling a little bit there.
Could have been. Takes down the game anyway.
Yeah.
So in my first pre-release for Kaladesh, I had the red Gearhulk in my pool, as well as Chandra. So I was feeling pretty good. I played a game where my opponent had also the red Gearhulk. Okay. And at some point, I had to let him draw 6 cards off of it because my life was so low.
Oh, you couldn't risk it?
Couldn't risk it. But I still won. Don't worry.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, you're insane. That's impressive. You go ahead and draw 6. I'll be over here winning the game. I like that.
But the average on the damage you're going to take off of those 3 cards is what, 4? Is that what people are saying?
3.7.
3.7?
Ish. I mean, you know, you'd want to look at, like, what we could get that information pretty easily if we could look at all of the sealed pools from today and then average out the converted mana cost, blah, 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 just run the numbers on it. Just doing it on a few samples, that's what we came up with for the podcast.
Okay.
3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not as damaging as I was imagining you sit there and you're like, I'm going to take 10.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you definitely feel that way. I was actually just talking to Tannen, a friend of mine who's playing in the GP here, and he played a what is the Red Gearhulk's first name?
Combustible
Gearhulk. And he actually got lucky and hit for 8 total.
Wow.
5-drop and a 3-drop.
Yeah.
So you gotcha.
Yep.
And then his opponent played I think they played their own copy of the Gearhulk.
Yeah.
And hit him back pretty hard. They're both just taking damage.
Yeah.
And then Tannen played Saheeli's Artistry and copied both Gearhulks. And his opponent's like, okay, well, I'm middle of the first one I'm not drawing. Okay, so he does it, and he took another significant amount, like 4.
Wow.
And then his opponent's at 8, and he's like, whatever, I'll do it again. Spin the wheel again, and it was 3-drop, 3-drop, 2-drop. He never even attacked. He did 20. Isn't that great?
That's brutal.
Yeah. Oh, that was pretty awesome.
Oh, that's great. Let's take a look in at Andrew Pacifico versus Luis Salvatto.
Oh, yeah. Remember, Andrew, we saw him early in the day in round 1.
Round 1.
He's just trucking along here at 6-1. Nice work.
He has a Spontaneous Artist in play, as well as 1 energy. Useful, especially in a red-black aggressive deck. Incoming a Foundry Inspector and a Weldfast Monitor. It costs 1 less thanks to the Foundry Inspector's ability. Meanwhile, Luis Salvatto has a Bombat Bazaar Barge in play, as well as a Glint Sleeve Artisan and a Servo. And we are going to go back to our main match.
All
Matt
right.
Severa versus Cedric Phillips, as they are ready to go for game 2. Oh, there we go.
You see Cedric like, well, yeah, okay.
Smuggler's Copter on
man.
turn 2 for Matt.
Like, you got to feel for Cedric here, right?
Yes, I do.
Like, on one hand, he's saying things. He's probably saying, well, he's got a Gearhulk and
Yeah.
a Smuggler's Copter. Must be nice.
Yeah, he doesn't know the whole extent of it, I don't think. Smuggler's Copter 3/3, flyer for 2, takes a crew cost of 1, and when it attacks or blocks, you may draw and discard a card. Discarding
Looks
Prakata
pretty
Pillar
good.
Bug.
Looks pretty good discarding some mediocre stuff here.
Yeah. Gets in again. Ether Theorist, also a card that I've found that I quite like.
Yeah, you're a fan?
Yeah, I am a fan. 3 energy. You can scry. I miss Scryfish,
Yeah, that's true.
Prakata Club Security for Cedric Phillips, just a 3/4 for 4.
The bouncer.
The bouncer's in the club, unfortunately. Doesn't actually bounce anything. But that would have been hilarious. R&D,
Yeah.
make a note.
Yeah, it would have been. It's like Ether Trade Winds getting discarded. The really scary thing, too, is that not only is Matt Severa getting ahead just by simply pounding, this is now 9 damage that he's done with the Copter, but he's also working his way towards setting up his incredible late game that he has with all these bombs. Now, what he really needs to do here is hit a bunch of land drops.
Yeah,
And
where's his land?
He hit his last one, so these loots are getting the job done. But unfortunately for Cedric, he has a very anemic draw here. Kept a very slow hand that only led him with a 4-drop into a 5-drop. And, Matt Severa's deck is just going to eat this start for lunch. It's just, this is way too slow to deal with what Severa's capable of.
Here comes Consul Shield Guard. 3/4 for 4. Enters with 2 energy. And when it attacks, you can pay an energy to give another attacking creature indestructible until end of turn.
It's a medium card. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm actually very fond of 4-mana 3/4s in general, though. I find that to be a real sweet spot for power and toughness.
Ooh, Ooh, Demon of Dark Schemes from Cedric Phillips.
Hello.
It's not going to kill anything.
It will prevent that smuggler's copter from hitting the red zone.
That's true.
And it is going to force Matt Severa to find another piece of removal or a way to get something out of the way.
That's so funny. I've never seen that card played where it didn't just absolutely destroy a board state.
No kidding. It kind of didn't do much. It is still a 5/5 flyer, though.
Yeah. And if he manages to get some energy, oh, wow. Another revoke privileges.
Whoa.
He is able to get things back from the graveyard.
Looks like Matt actually wants to leave back the ability here to scry one as well, as he doesn't have a great attack on the ground with his 3/4 anyway, so he's just going to use that
Yep.
to crew up the copter. And what we see right now is Matt is deciding if he'd like to loot what he'd like to loot.
Discarding Saheeli's artistry?
Cedric's eyes have to be big after that. Like, are you serious? What is going on?
Now I think he has a torrential Gearhulk.
He's like, your graveyard's better than my deck. What's going on here?
Never a good sign. I want to see the Smuggler's Copter just go all the way.
Well, you're 2 turns away from that goal, Maria, and that is an absolute possibility here.
What a card.
But do you think it's standard playable?
Something tells me it might
You
be.
have a little
Marshall.
hunch?
I've already got 3.
You have 3 copies of it?
I do.
Jeez.
I had some good pre-release pools. No big deal.
Some good trade fodder there, I'll tell you that. Yeah, we
There's
did
a
see
mountain finally.
There was a Star City Games tournament last weekend, and
Yeah.
there was 32 copies of Smuggler's Copter in the top 8.
Everybody had one.
Everybody had 4.
Yeah, everybody had 4. That's a better way to put
They
it.
were like, how many of these can I run? Oh, looks like Cedric's finally found the answer, though. Unfortunately,
Only one mountain.
he only has the one mountain.
Yep.
So he's going to have to wait another turn, but I think your dream may be dead.
Yeah, looks like it.
Matt's going to get to crunch in there one more time. Oh, he kept something on top.
Oh, he has a Sky Sovereign in hand, too. I saw
No.
it. Yes.
No.
So he could potentially kill the gremlin with the Sky Sovereign and save his Smuggler's Copter from a gremlin-y fate.
Wow. This is disgusting.
Yeah. All right, here he crews up the copter, coming on in for 3. The great thing about the copter not only is, it beats for 3 in the air for 2 mana, but also it allows you to groom your hand, which is exactly how Matt Severa got out of a bad mana situation.
Did Matt just not loot? Oh, sacrilege.
Oh, there goes the gremlin. Yep, sure enough.
Yeah, but like you said, the Sky Sovereign's going to come down and smash the goblin, and your dream is very much alive.
Yes,
again.
it is.
And
that's
Cedric
enough.
is just going to say, I'll let you have these back. And when he goes, yeah, this is Cedric once again just sort of taking a quick look like, wow.
Yeah, look at that.
You see that kind of
Yes.
little head shake like, well, I guess sometimes you open up some good cards. And the crazy part is there's still another bomb mythic rare in Matt's deck. Look at him shrug like, yeah, I don't know. They handed me the packs. What do you want from me?
Matt Severa ties things up from one apiece.
Oh, man. Honestly, all right, nothing against Cedric.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to see his face if Matt plays the torrential Gearhulk, just to
So
be
do
like,
I.
are you serious right now?
He's just going to be...
Like, are you absolutely serious right now?
Oh, how great must that have felt to crack those packs. Woof. We're going to take a look in again with Thiago Saporito and Pat Cox.
Man, Thiago has just been smashing with this deck all day. He's ended up 5-1-1 with it, but every time we've seen him,
Yeah.
it's been savage.
He's certainly got some power and toughness on the board right now. Kujar's Seed Sculptor is a play from Pat. Decides to give Aviary Mechanic its +1/+1 counter.
Yeah, it looks like it's picked up 2 of those
Yeah.
over the course of the game here.
4/4 now big enough to block an Arborback Stomper.
Yeah, there's a lot going on over there for Thiago.
It's going to swing in. Pat blocks, going to take 1 trample. Repairing Tiger is a follow-up play from Thiago.
Jeez. 1 good 5-drop deserves another,
And
apparently.
certainly.
They're all huge. They're all trampling. This one even bigger than the Stomper when it attacks, at least.
That's the thing sometimes in Sealed. You just want to play big beaters.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Snare Thopter.
You love this card.
Oh, I love this card. 3/2, Flying Haste. Fantastic.
It's a really good card, especially given that it's colorless. You know,
Yeah.
that we've seen printings of this card over the years pretty commonly that were 4 mana, usually 3 and a blue for a 3/2 flyer, no haste. Blue,
Right.
Blue doesn't get haste, but still, this is better than that, and it's colorless. It goes into every deck.
Thiago likes it so much he's going to get a copy of his own with Saheeli's Artistry here.
Oh no!
Yep.
And what is he going to do? Get another Tiger?
Probably.
What's the best thing on the board? I would assume a Tiger plus a Thopter.
Yeah, that's what I would guess. Smash. Pays the energy.
No, he may have actually just copied 2 of those because he's attacking with both tokens.
Yeah, that's true.
So nothing
didn't
else
have
on
more
the
energy.
battlefield has haste unless it was that Iron League steed. He could have copied that, though I guess we would see either a +1/+1 counter or a servo somewhere. So that it must have both been that he said, okay, the artifact I choose is the Snare Thopter, and the creature I choose is the Snare Thopter.
Right.
Wham!
Which is sometimes a risky play because if it gets dealt with,
Hmm?
then you have nothing.
That's true. And Saheeli's Artistry does target, interestingly. You know, we're used to these clone cards being more along the lines of when this enters the battlefield, it's not like that. This is like you choose these targets. But I think Thiago recognizing correctly here that with just those 2 mana up, it would be pretty difficult for Pat to interact. It would have taken Select for Inspection really
Yep.
to get the job done there. I suppose Blossoming Defense would also get the job done.
True.
You know, to just blank the entire card. So a little bit of risks there from Thiago. But what a payoff if it works, and he does have the payoff. Oh, no.
Oh, there's a Select for Inspection. And a Blossoming Defense.
What the?
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a tough one for Pat. He must not have seen that originally, that he could bounce his own creature there, because I think he would have. Like, just trade off his Select for Inspection for the 6-mana bomb Saheeli's Artistry. Would have been pretty happy with that, and that ends up being a lethal attack.
There's the handshake. Thiago takes it 2-0.
Well, that's kind of a beating.
It sure is. Saheeli's Artistry. What a card. That card's amazing.
Yeah, Pat's going to be unhappy with that one after he looks at it, I think.
All right, game 3 here. Cedric Phillips versus Matt Severa.
All right, well, Cedric's decided to be a little more aggressive this time, attacking for 3 on the 3rd turn of the game and maybe attacking for 8 next turn.
Well, there comes revoke privileges.
That does help a lot because it makes Cedric have something to get that pain train, as you call it, Maria.
Yeah, the pain train.
Yeah, to get that thing rolling. Because remember, revoke says you cannot.
Yeah, there's
vehicles.
some salivating gremlins
Okay.
to go ahead and do that.
This is exactly the start that Cedric Phillips needs to defeat Matt Severa and his really incredible deck. That's not bad either, though.
Console Shield Guard doesn't block the train very well.
No. But Matt's at 12. He can take a hit. Now, it would be a real big bummer for Matt is if Cedric plays like an artifact or 2 here and really just forces the issue. He'd end up having to trade off for the goblins. And things could get pretty sketchy when you look at that freighter.
Yeah, Cedric's going to think this one through. I think if he had an artifact, he might have just smashed, but could still be an option. Yeah, when you're playing against a deck like Matt's, you've got to get the beats in early. Taps 4. Iron League Steed. 2/2 with haste, fabricate 1. He's going to crew up the train, trigger on the gremlins, smash. There you see a copy of Iron League Steed. Goes in any deck. Great stats. Matt drops down to 5. Oh, Sky Sovereign Console Flagship is the play. It's going to shoot down the Steed. But is it good enough? Cedric's got to have another creature, and he does. It's a Brazen Scourge.
Jeez, what a beating.
Wow, Cedric Phillips takes game 3 to win the match.
That is impressive.
Whew.
Beating that deck in the hands of Matt Severa is no small shakes. Great stuff from Cedric Phillips there. And he certainly had the draw needed to get the job done there.
Yes, he did. Wow.
With the quick start and the Renegade Freighter.
And we saw his face after game 2, just like, sometimes you have all the cards. Well, sometimes you just need to smash.
Yep. Wow, that's impressive. I think Severa would very many times go undefeated here on day 1 with that pool.
Yeah.
Being an excellent player and having a great pool, but Cedric was having none of it. Got on the pain train and rode to victory.
Wow. 7-1, not a bad record. Not a bad record at all, though.
No, and there's one more round to go here, of course.
Yep. X and 3 makes day 2 now. So that's what players are shooting for. Of course, players that are pro players or high-level players hoping to start day 2 with a better record than that, but
yeah, they're not shooting for 6 and 3. That's for sure.
that's what got me into my first day 2.
Yeah, but you know, when you're going for pro points and top 8s and such, that's kind of the record of shame. It's like, you know, we've had 1,600 plus players here, and you know, an X and 3 record is already looking dead for top 8. So you show up maybe to pick up some pro points to get some practice at the booster draft for the Pro Tour if they're going to that the next weekend. There is a lot to be gained from it, but yeah, top 8 usually gets out of reach.
All right, so we're going to take a look here at Frank Skarren and Adam Yurchick. Quite a lot going on the battlefield.
See the Bomad Bazaar barge down there. Looks like it had just attacked.
Restoration Gearsmith getting in there as Adam lines up some blocks. Oh, just going to scoop him up. We didn't have an opportunity to, yeah, there's a life totals update.
Ah. Whoa.
Oh, there's an invention.
I think that might have been one of the swords.
What?
I think so. I only saw it for a second, and they're hard to see anyway, especially at the angle, but that's pretty good if that's what it is. Maybe I can find it on.
Yeah, take a look.
That was on Frank's side of the battlefield.
It was. One of the swords, one of the better inventions you can hope to open.
Yeah, they don't call them masterpieces for nothing.
No, they don't. Yesterday in a draft, I played against Megan, my podcast co-host, who turned 2 soul ringed me.
How dare she?
It's pretty mean. Pretty mean, Marshall.
So are you looking for a new podcast host now, or how does that?
Yeah.
Nobody would blame you. Nobody would blame you.
Are you saying that LSV's out of a job?
No, he's never played a soul ring on turn 1 on me. He would never do that to me.
Well, that's all the matches we have down here in the feature match area. Marshall and I are going to call it a day. Thanks for hanging out with us, but we've got more Magic coming at you for the last round. Oh, we're moving the players over. Excuse me. Okay, that was only game 1. We're going to move the players over to a camera so we can get a better view of their match.
All right, well, good. In that case, all this looking around in the deck list for me was not for naught. So it was actually on Adam's side of the battlefield. I think maybe it had been, I don't know, there was something locking it down or some permanent on top of it. But it was a sword. It was Sword of Feast and Famine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Ooh, well, I hope we get to see that in play.
Well, I think we definitely hope that.
Yes,
I think
we
one
do.
of these players down here certainly does not hope that. And one of them agrees with us wholeheartedly.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
we will see. We will see.
I opened a Cataclysmic Gearhulk, so that's been my invention opening. But I was due because I didn't open any fancy lands back in Zendikar.
Is that how that works?
That's how it works. It's the universe. It's karma, you know?
I opened 2 of them.
Oh, did you?
Of the lands?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
One of them was on the podcast, though, and I give away all the rares I open on the podcast, so I sent that one away. But then, kind of funny, the other one I opened was the same one. They were both Steam vents.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I have
Oh,
a Steam vents
all right.
now. Yeah. I haven't opened up a masterpiece,
There's still time.
but
With the way
I
you're
will.
firing off drafts.
I will.
Magic
Yeah,
Online.
I know, right? I've been it's not been for lack of trying.
That was so great. We got to start playing Magic Online a couple days early with the new set, which is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. They mentioned, normally, for those of you that don't play on Magic Online, normally the set comes out on the Friday. It would have come out yesterday. But it came out on Wednesday, and they're trying it out. They're seeing if they can work it into their systems and the software and the testing and all the things that they need to do to make it work. But I got to say, I loved every second of it. Coming into the booth so shortly after the sets come out, it's difficult.
It is.
I mean, how much you had to do a bunch of practice to learn all these cards down as well as you have them, right?
Yes, been studying like a madman.
Yeah, and that's that's how it works, and also when it comes to doing what I'm doing this weekend, the color commentator role, I need to know how this format works, not just the cards, but like what's important. How do the games go? What are the cards that people are playing around? And this early in the format, it's tough. But the way that I learn is by drafting on Magic Online, because I can draft so many. Right. And getting a chance just to have 2 days of drafts. I did like 10 or 11 drafts in those 2 days. I was just crazy.
Incredible.
Yeah, and then I did a couple more on the airplane ride over here, and it really does help you get kind of your sea legs about you for a new format, to get those cards in your virtual hands and get them on the battlefield and start seeing how things go. And I got to tell you, especially for sets like this, where we have new permanent types. Oh, it's a vehicle. Right. What is a vehicle? And once you kind of get what it is and how it works functionally, it doesn't mean that you understand how it works in game. Like, how good is it? Do they ever block? How many do you want to run? That kind of thing. So, getting that chance to get in there was really good.
Let me ask you this, Marshall. Would you first pick a Cloud Blazer?
Absolutely. If I ever opened one. The only real question yet is, am I going to open a Cloud Blazer first?
Yeah. Or an invention?
Or an invention.
Okay, that's ridiculous.
That's where we're at with this right now. That's where we're at. I don't know the answer. I'll keep you updated.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people really dig in this set. I've absolutely loved playing it. I think it's so fun, and it's complex too.
Very.
Vehicles and when to crew them and when to attack with them. It's not as easy as just having creatures out there on the battlefield. Energy is, I think, remarkable in an interesting way to have another resource in the game that you can use. So all of these things, Fabricate leads you to have some complicated decisions from time to time. I don't know. I've been having a great time with this set.
I have too.
Coming off of another strong set, too, in Eldritch Moon.
Yeah, that Eldritch Moon Limited is one that really stuck with me. I drafted that one all the way up until Kaladesh came out. Yeah. And, I was drafting it a lot still. Like, I think it might crack. I'm trying to see if I have room in my top 5 for it. Oof. But it's in that realm. Like, I really, really thought that they just nailed it, as far as that format. It was fun. It was balanced. It was cool. You had answers to things that didn't feel like there was strategies or cards that you just could never beat. Right. There was different directions to go that felt different. It wasn't just similar strategies, but different colors. It was like totally different decks.
Looks like our players are almost ready to go down there.
Okay.
Feature match area. Frank Skarren, Adam Yurchick, both sitting at 6-1. Adam leading off with the Mountain. And Frank complains. Turn 2 play from Frank is an Eddy Trail Hawk, bringing with it 2 energy. Adam.
Uh-oh.
Pain Train.
Jeez, right on turn 3.
I could call it the Love Train and sing some OJs for you, but it doesn't really feel that way.
No, not when you're getting attacked by that thing. Oh, speaking of.
Dueling Renegade Freighters. Here comes a Spireside Infiltrator, which is going to crew the train and crash in, also dealing 1 damage to Frank in the process when it becomes tapped.
So a big hit, 6 damage there from Yurchick.
Frank's going to have to commit another creature to the board if he wants to crew that freighter. Nice to know that you have an Eddy Trail Hawk sitting around as well, conveniently, with a couple of energy.
Mm-hmm. Well, this
Just
is interesting, too. The Thriving Ibex, another source of energy. And also with 4 energy, if he can start attacking with it at some point, you know, he could also make the Thriving Ibex pretty big.
Yeah. Not going to lie, Marshall, I want to see that train fly through the air.
Yeah, we already saw flying goats earlier today. It could be a flying train as well.
A flying train driven by a goat. Dreams do come true.
Dear God.
All right, Adam's going to smash in there. Pinging Frank with the Spireside Infiltrator.
Interesting spot here for Frank Skarren.
Yeah, he's going to crew to block.
Yeah, he is going to go for it.
It's risky.
It's just a 4/3, but it is vulnerable to removal. Welding Sparks is a card that jumps to mind, but looks like Adam's going to allow him to go to blocks, and we can see...
Essence Extraction.
Yeah, and this is a nice play from Adam. He let him block first. That means that Frank is now committed to blocks, won't have any other options, but the Essence Extraction killing the Renegade Freighter means that even though it's gone, the Renegade Freighter on Adam's side, since it gets trampled when it attacks, is still going to deal the full 5 damage anyway. But that made fewer options for Frank as far as maybe putting the Eddy Trail Hawk in front or something. It's just good, solid technical magic to let your opponent block first if they're tapped out in that situation, because you're getting all the damage anyway.
Dukara P follows a play from Frank. 2/4.
It's actually pretty good here. If he wants to double block with the Thriving Ibex and the Dukara P-Foul, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
You know, that's 4 damage and a lot of toughness. He won't take anything. Now, if one of those were to go bye-bye, then things get a little different. But
Bastion Mastodon is a play from Adam. Just passes the turn back. Yeah, Dukara P-Foul is a card that has impressed me. Haven't seen a lot of it actually today on coverage, but
yeah,
I've always found that I liked it.
It's fine. You can play it if you need it. It's like you kind of want to have multiple uses out of it, like an artifact plus you need an extra 4 drop, something like that.
Janjin Sentry comes along with some more energy for Frank. And a trusty companion. The Hawk's going to soar over for damage. And Adam's just going to crew the freighter at the end of Frank's turn just to deal 1.
Yeah, that's a smart play there from Yurchick.
Mind Rot.
Oh, he's got 2 more cards and he's going to get both of them.
Glimmer of Genius, Vidalcan Blade Master. It hurts when your draw spell hits the bin.
It does. You could see that Frank was prioritizing getting the board short up here and then was going to reload with Glimmer of Genius, and he's not going to have that chance now.
And that Spireside Infiltrator, I mean, it's only 1 damage when it taps, but he's got to wait for it to tap every turn. Adds up.
Chat says Frank has a full-blown petting zoo going on. Look at that. He's got a hyena, a hawk, a goat, another bird.
And a peacock. I would go to that zoo.
Yeah. Take pictures.
That's great.
Yeah, that was my buddy Woody in the chat.
Don't pet the hyenas, though.
No.
All right, he's going to give the P-Foul flying.
Is he going to give something else flying as well with his Eddy Trail Hawk?
Oh, yep, the hyena.
Okay, it has Vigilance. And that's a nice attack there.
Yeah, it is.
6 damage. That's a big hit. He has brought the shields down a little bit here, though. But what did he top deck?
Glint Sleeve Artisan.
Sure.
Make a servo. Protect himself a little more.
Yeah.
The Renegade Freighter having trample is really significant with all the servos running around in this format as well. Adam has yet another way to ping Frank with the Reckless Fireweaver on the board if he has any more artifacts up his sleeve.
Yeah, this is a situation where if Adam can get in just one significant hit, he can probably finish the game with the combination of those two cards, just pinging away for the next turn or two. He'll need like maybe one more artifact and just to keep something on the battlefield to get that infiltrator tap, but he's going to have to stay patient here.
Passes the turn back. So Adam, 3 cards in hand, but Frank has the possibility of flying over for, like he did last turn, a good chunk of damage. Tidy Conclusion is a play from Adam to take down the Eddy Trail Hawk.
It's going to gain him a couple of life as well. It's never fun when you have to use this on your opponent's 2-drop, but that card represents a lot of damage in the late part of the game. We saw the Eddy Trail Hawk not really be too impressive in the early stages. It hit for 1.
Yeah.
Didn't really do a whole lot after that. But now that we've hit that later stage of the game, that card represents a ton of damage. It can just pick up whatever the biggest other creature is. In this case, it would be 3.
Peafowl coming in to attack by itself for 2. Passes back. Crew to ping Frank. Four mana. Malphus Squad is the play.
Okay.
It's going to create a servo. It's Menace.
It's also going to ping him for 1.
Yes, it is. Reckless Fireweaver.
He's getting really close. He's got Frank at virtual 4 life here. In fact, virtual 3 life.
Virtual
actually.
3.
Is Frank going to be able to get in for 15 before Yurchick just crews up this freighter a few more times?
Yep, Frank's at 3. Just had to pass back. Is this another artifact? It is! Bomat Bazaar Barge. Take 1, draw a card.
Now, if he has any other artifact that he can actually cast, it's just game over.
There it is.
And there's the Pillar Bug. Ping you, crew, dead.
Yep. Frank scoops him up. Adam takes that game, tying things up 1-1.
Man, he got him down from like 8.
Yeah, he did.
Just ground him down.
The power of ping. I like Spireside Infiltrator. I mean, it's not flashy. It's just a 3/2. But 3 is a pretty relevant number when it comes to crewing a lot of the vehicles in this set. And getting a little extra bonus from time to time from your crew, it's nothing to sniff at.
No, also, you know, I have found that it's not uncommon that it just gets to attack, and it attacks effectively for 4 if it doesn't go blocked.
Right.
You know, that's pretty good for your pretty good versatility for your 3-drop in an aggressive deck.
Didn't get to see any swords come into play this game.
No. But we might. Adam's got one. Unfortunately for Adam, the particular sword that he's opened up doesn't match up against Frank's colors.
Tomorrow we'll be back here to do some drafting as well. Are you excited about that, Marshall?
Yes, I have been doing a bunch myself, and that I can't wait to see what other people have discovered about the format. One thing that I can tell you is that it's very broad. You know, there's a lot going on. It's some formats. By the time we get to this stage where everybody's starting to get their initial impressions going, I'll kind of check in with the people that I draft with, my friends and coworkers and stuff, and say, hey, where are you guys at on the format? And I'll start to see patterns match up with what I've discovered, and things start to really take shape. And this one is less so. Definitely patterns, but they're smaller. They're more like card level patterns rather than, oh man, have you seen the green-black deck? It's insane. Yeah, I had it once. It's insane. That stuff hasn't been happening quite as much. It's kind of there's a lot of information to chew through with this deck. You
Right.
know, I mean, even today I was having conversations with people about different types of cards and different groupings of cards, and you know, have you tried these yet? Do you like these? This one's not as good, and you know, that kind of thing. And so, you know, when it comes to tomorrow morning, and we see our pros and our GP players here sit down to draft, you know, I am curious to see what direction they go.
Yeah, as am I. It's so interesting for me to kind of see how other people have approached the format at this early stage in the game, because really it's kind of like the Wild West out there still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the first major limited tournament featuring Kaladesh. The next one's next weekend.
Yes.
It's also a constructed tournament.
Pro Tour. In Hawaii as well, so that's a nice treat for all the players.
And commentators.
True.
I am looking forward to being in Hawaii. The only other time I went to Hawaii was for the Pro Tour a couple of years ago. And I have to say, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Hawaii suits me. I like it there.
Well, I'm going to hang out, so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Dear God, it just got better. Awesome.
Red, white, fast land from Adam.
An inspiring vantage.
Eddie Trailhawk, turn 2. Prophetic Prism is the play from Adam to draw a card. Gets in for 1.
He didn't look at the card.
He didn't?
No, what do you think about that? I mean, he can't do anything with it, so he figures I'll just wait.
I would never not look at
You
it.
would always look.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Trusty companion from Frank. But I never look if I mulligan at the top of card of my library. I never do that.
High five.
I don't want to feel bad, you know?
Yeah.
Mind rot again.
Oh, this is not a great start here from Yurchick. I mean, sure,
No.
he's playing stuff, but a Mind Rod and a Prophetic Prism don't really do much. He's going to start getting hit for 4 in the air for a few turns here.
Ugh.
And he could fall behind quickly. Now, he's not that far back, being at 19 life, dropping to 15 here. But this is the kind of start where, you know, he could fall woefully behind.
Right.
If he doesn't have some pretty nice ways to swing the game.
Playing a mind rot that early is never what you want to be doing.
Right. It means that he had nothing else to do on turn 3.
Here comes Malfist squad, bringing along a servo. 3-1 menace.
I've liked Malfist squad. I think it's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm. 4-2 menace is a real threat.
Yeah, and even 3-1 menace can be a
3-1.
threat, you know. Because the thing I don't like about 1 toughness creatures in this format is that there are so many servos around.
Right.
But the Malfist squad means that you have to block with at least 2 of them. Wow. Look at these
Malfunction.
attacks.
Aggressively locking down the Malfist squad.
Yeah.
Why not? Frank still has all that energy over there for the future to have things fly over. Thaddeus Trailhawk stays alive.
Adam's already down to 9. And
There-
if Frank has an answer for this Mastodon, this one is going to be over very quickly. And frankly, if he doesn't, it's still.
Yeah, it's still pretty
I mean,
bad.
right now, he can hit him for 4 in the air and drop him to 5, plus have all of his mana available to do whatever he needs to do.
Yep. Flying Hyena. Smacks for 4. Pass back.
Okay, well, that's interesting now from Adam's perspective. No play there from Frank, even with all that mana.
So he's left a window for Adam. Adam's going to draw a card up.
Nope. Another, yeah, not you.
Oh.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just shaking my head because once again, he's doing things that don't directly affect the situation that he's facing here.
Right.
He's just tapping a bunch of mana and playing cards out of his hand that don't attack or block. You know, the Bazaar Barge doesn't help him at all here. He already had a blocker about that size, and he can't crew that.
He must have been trying to draw himself into something. Janjit Sentry is going to block, or going to tap down the Mastodon.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Yurchick is
Can't
hanging on
crew.
for dear life here. Yeah, he cannot crew the Bomab Bazaar Barge. He can force a chump block, but if he can get that servo out of the way, it's game over.
Yep.
He's just way too far behind with Prophetic Prism, Mind Rot, the Bazaar Barge now. He's going to need an incredible play next turn to get out of this. It's like Frank is going to go ahead and take advantage of the situation, burning an energy to get in for the extra 3 here, forcing Adam to chump.
Servo runs in front. Jan's sentry.
But wait, there's more.
Subtle strike. Gives it a +1/+1 counter. You have something else, -1/-1 till end of turn. Frank's response. Ether Meltdown.
On the servo.
On the servo. Gets 2 more energy.
That's a big deal.
Yep.
Now he's extra lethal.
Passes back. Adam's at 1. Well, 1 is not 0. Certainly doesn't look good.
No, 1 is not 0, but it's these flyers that's the problem,
Yeah.
too. Like, if Adam wants to come back, yeah, he's not going to.
Extends a hand. Frank Skarren takes that match in 3 games. And that'll do it here for this round. We got one more round of Magic coming at you here at GP Atlanta. We'll talk for a little bit more.
Okay. You missed me?
I missed you, Marshall. I didn't want to leave just yet.
Yeah.
Oh.
But, you know, there are lessons to be learned here, though, right? You know, the draw didn't come together there for Adam, right? Like, he happened to draw a lot of his doesn't do a whole lot cards.
Right.
But also, you put a bunch of those cards in your deck, and sometimes you draw them, and that kind of thing can happen. Imagine that type of start against Cedric Phillips' deck.
Exactly.
It would have been laughable.
Right.
I mean, he would have been dead 2 turns ago.
Right.
You know, with nothing to do. Even just the start of Prophetic Prism into Mind Rot probably would have been too slow.
So of all the things that we've seen here today, Marshall, what has been your favorite thing that you've just seen in general?
You know, the question I had coming in were the vehicles.
Right.
And I feel like I'm starting to get a better hold on that. I wouldn't say that's my favorite thing. You know, I mean, I saw the best thing that we saw was the Cloud Blazers just blinking in and out. But I'm more concerned about the vehicles and that whole thing. So kind of forming my opinion more on that as we go.
All right, great. Well, now I'm going to tell the truth. Say that does it for Marshall and I here today. We'll see you back here tomorrow. One round of Magic still to go here at GP Atlanta.
Play with new artifacts, crew fantastic vehicles, and invent your next ingenious deck with Kaladesh this weekend. Pre-release events are happening now on Magic Online. For more information, visit mtgo.com.
Support your local game store by going to Friday Night Magic. Have fun hanging out with friends, cracking new Magic packs, and playing with your favorite Kaladesh cards. Featuring devious gremlins, ingenious dwarves, and face-smashing Gearhulks.